Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. I have a recommendations video for you all today. I'm going to be recommending some underrated romance books, which means these books are not big, they're not popular. Most of these authors don't really have a big following either. A lot of these are authors of color because unfortunately they don't really get as much love or popularity. But the main criteria that I had while choosing these books was that they had to have less than 2,000 ratings on Goodreads. So let's just get started. Here are some underrated romance books that you should try because they definitely deserve more love. My first recommendation is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I am just kidding. This book is definitely not underrated, but I hope the joke is funny because I think it's hilarious how a lot of people don't really seem to understand the word underrated, because I've heard everything from Colleen Hoover is underrated, Mariana Zapata is underrated, blah blah blah. But if I psyched you out when I said Twisted Love, please let me know. I would love to hear, because I thought saying this would be so funny. But getting into the real recommendations, this first one is On the Hustle by Adriana Herrera. This is Adriana's latest release. I have loved her since I discovered her MM series, but this one is MF, and if you love a good grumpy hero, you'll enjoy this one. You'll especially like it if you love a hero who has been all in and just been practically in love with the heroine since the very beginning, and she has no idea about it. In fact, she thinks he's a jerk because she works for him as his assistant and he wasn't exactly the best boss. So at the beginning of this book, the heroine decides to quit so she can pursue her real dreams, and the hero chases after her. She moves to a whole new state and he shows up asking her for a favor. So the two of them end up together on this home improvement reality TV show, and it's so much fun. I love the banter, I love the chemistry. The hero is an adorable grump. Oh, and also the heroine's career, the one that she wanted to pursue, it's really interesting. She designs rooms. She does bookish themed room makeovers, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently it could be. So On the Hustle is a super fun read. I highly recommend it. And if you have not read the author's MM series, her small town series, I also recommend that series too. This next one is a rom-com-y Robin Hood sort of romance. It's Don't Go Stealing My Heart by Kelly Siskind. The heroine is the modern day Robin Hood here. She steals from the rich to give to the poor, and her newest target is the hero. So the con artist heroine, she's trying to steal this Van Gogh painting from what she thinks is the spoiled brat, but the hero is the complete opposite of that. He is so sweet and so adorable, but unfortunately she has to lie about who she is in order to get close to him and get close to that painting. The romance is funny and sweet and silly. I love the whole idea of this modern day Robin Hood heroine and how the hero just completely flips her life upside down. It's a super wholesome and cute read, but don't worry, there is still some steam, but I just remember smiling the whole way while I was reading this one. There's also a little bit of angst, mostly towards the ending because of the whole secret identity, the whole lying part, but there's just a lot of good things going for this one. If you want something that will make you laugh but also make you swoon, definitely read this book. Moving on to a recommendation that is mostly angst. This is Baron's Second Chance by S.T. Moores. I've talked a little bit about this one recently, but it is a groveling romance that I had a great time reading. If you know me, you know I am always on the hunt for some good, new, good groveling romances, and this one hit the spot for me. It is a second chance romance. It's new adult. The characters are a little bit younger. They were high school sweethearts until the hero cheats on the heroine. Fast forward a couple years later, they are in their early mid-20s and they reunite for the first time since that whole debacle. She's become this big and famous supermodel and she's been living her life to the fullest after dumping her cheating boyfriend, and he's been pining away and living in regret this whole time. So he does want her back desperately and he does grovel quite a bit. She makes him work for her love, her trust, for the second chance, and I had a great time reading it. It gave me the angst that I was craving, the hero figuratively on his knees part. So if anyone needs a new groveling romance to try, read this one. I have two Jackie Love romances to recommend. I've been slowly making my way through her backlist. She has very cozy, small town feels. Even though a couple of her books are set in this big city like Toronto, the author's Canadian, they still have this small town feel to them. Her books are just very feel good and very easy to read. So this first one that I have is one of her more rom-com-y romances. It's The Unmatchmakers. This one might be a Kobo original or some sort of original, so you can't really find the ebook or audiobook on Amazon, but somehow my library was able to get the audiobook, so that's how I was able to read this book, and it was so silly and so fun. If you've read and loved Ballet for Aunties or For Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Q. Sutanto, I feel like you would enjoy this one as well, just because they have some similar aspects when it comes to the parents, the very silly and over-the-top parents. The main couple here, their moms are best friends, so they sort of grew up together, they knew each other as kids, but it's been a while since they've seen each other, so when they do see each other on this family vacation, they realize how hot the other person is now. So they start up this very sweet summer romance, and they try to keep it from their moms because they are huge meddlers, and when the moms find out, they try to break them up. So it does get wild and silly, but it's fun. This book would definitely make for a great read while you're on vacation, or if you're looking for a cute summery beach read. The other Jackie Lau book is one of my favorites from her. It's The Professor Next Door. This one is the third book in a series, but all the books can be read totally fine as a standalone. The main characters are neighbors here. We do have a slight age gap. The hero is an older professor with some gray neighbor's glasses. So they live next door to each other, and the heroine is very sexually liberated, and he is able to hear everything that she does in the bedroom because of how thin their walls are. So it's a little awkward, and then these two get stuck together on an elevator, and this sort of sparks the start of their friendship, at least until he finally ends up telling her that he can hear everything, and they end up with a friends with benefits situation. This is definitely one of Jackie Lau's hotter books. It's the hottest one that I read from her. I mean, it's not erotica or anything, but I did appreciate having this quiet and nerdy, a little bit shy hero who is none of those things in the bedroom. So those are my two Jackie Lau recommendations. I also have two historical romances to share. This first one is one of my favorites from 2022. It's The Duke in Question by Amalie Howard. It's a spy historical romance. Both the main characters are spies, though the hero has no idea that the heroine works in this whole industry. His newest assignment is actually one where he's trying to chase the heroine, except that he has no idea that the heroine is the one he's supposed to be finding. She's in possession of the secret pack of letters that he needs to bring back to the crown. And the first half of this book takes place on a boat towards America. These two are stuck together on this little boat, and the hilarious thing is that the heroine plays the part of a very spoiled heiress perfectly because she doesn't want the hero to find out that she is the spy he's looking for. He gets all annoyed and confused because she is playing him so well. But when the truth finally comes out, the steam also hits the roof. If you love your historical romances on the steamier side, Amalie Howard is definitely for you. So far, this is my favorite book from Amalie Howard. It was fantastic. I love the main characters. I love the whole plot with the spying. It was such a great historical romance. And then the other historical romance is also another steamy one. This is A Matter of Temptation by Stacy Reid. You know a book is good when it starts off with the heroine taking her brother's place in a duel and is ready to shoot the hero for this duel. The heroine is a total badass, and I loved her for it. It's also a very interesting historical romance because it has the boss assistant trope. I feel like I don't read enough of that in historical romances, but the heroine does end up getting hired by the hero. I'm pretty sure it was to make up for what her brother did. He lost all their family's money and they're about to lose their home, so she desperately needs this job, but there's a lot of good force proximity. These two work together all the time. I wouldn't call the hero a total grump, but he is definitely a scowler. He gets a little possessive of the heroine, possessive and protective of her, so they were fantastic together. If you haven't read Stacy Reid yet, I highly recommend her. I love her books. They are steamy and emotional, angsty. I love her writing. This book, A Matter of Temptation, is her latest book, but she has a bunch of other historical romances for you to try if you haven't read her yet. And then I have another groveling romance to recommend. A lot of the groveling romances that I end up reading and loving are more on the not so popular side. Some of them are very obscure, so I can just easily throw them onto this underrated romance books list. So this one is a Harlequin Presents book. It's After the Billionaire's Wedding Vows by Lucy Monroe. Lucy Monroe is actually quite the fabulous groveling romance author. She has a bunch of them, but this one is her latest one, and it's actually been a while since she last put out a book, so I've been so excited to read this one, and it was fantastic. You can pretty much guess what the book is about when I say it's a groveling romance, and then you read this title. It's a marriage in trouble romance. The hero has been neglectful of his wife and his child, and he doesn't realize it. The only reason why he finds out now that his wife is not happy with their marriage anymore is that she tells him, along with his brother and his brother's wife, that his brother is a better husband than he is. The hero gets so offended when he hears this because he thinks he's a great husband, only to find out that he is not. So he has a lot of groveling to do, a lot of making up to do, so all the groveling was fantastic to read. This next recommendation is a series. It's the St. Louis Cyclone series by Alexandria House. I've only read the first two books because I'm still waiting on the audiobook for the third one, but I had a fun time reading the first two. The first one is so messy. It's ridiculously messy, but somehow it worked. So the whole series is about a basketball team, and all the heroes are ballers. They're players on and off the court. The first hero is the biggest player, though the heroine is his main side chick. Although I'm not sure you can actually call her a side chick, but he is not faithful, even though he loves her. She knows all about his other woman, but she doesn't stop loving him because of this bond that they formed when they were younger. He pretty much saved her life. So like I said, it's very messy. There's also some more messiness that happens towards the end, but I kind of loved it. And then the second one is actually my favorite of the series so far because the hero is a total sweetheart. It's an older heroine, a younger man romance, and he is so good to her. She is a single mom, and he just sweeps her off her feet. Everyone in his life, though, thinks that she is some sort of gold digger, that she's just using him, but he knows that they're meant to be together. So this second book is the complete opposite of the first book. If you don't like cheating, you can just read the second book. But both books are great. I definitely need to read book 3 soon. Alexandria House is great, especially if you love something short and steamy. And then I'm recommending Return All by Eve Dangerfield. I've loved Eve Dangerfield since I first read Act Your Age. That book is a fantastic age gap, grumpy hero romance. And then Return All is a second chance romance, also very messy and angsty with some good groveling. You will probably hate the hero though, just an FYI. He is an idiot, but I liked him by the end. So the main characters here are high school sweethearts. They fell in love, but then he went off to become this big professional soccer player, and he pretty much left her behind. There was no formal breakup or anything, but he just moved on to all these women throwing themselves at him. And then thankfully she was also able to move on because she, of all things, won the freaking lottery. She's now become this huge philanthropist, and when the main characters finally reunite, he literally gets down on his knees. I love to see it. He was begging her for a second chance or just to talk to him again. They still love each other, but he messed up big time when he left her. She does eventually agree, but only because she wants his body. She's gonna use him for his body. It's very kinky because it is Eve Dangerfield. There is some daddy kink here, but I just loved how this hero was pretty much on his knees the whole time begging the heroine for a second chance. A begging, remorseful, pining hero is my kryptonite. And then the final recommendation that I have is a small town romance. It's The Inn on Sweetbriar Lane by Jeannie Chin. It's set at this inn, this bed and breakfast that the heroine and her family run. The hero has just moved in to this small town. He moves in literally right next door to the heroine to open up a bar. Unfortunately for the both of them, the town council is trying to shut down this bar. They don't want it opening up, which means neither of them are able to get any customers. The main characters are complete opposites. They don't get along, at least not at first. It's got some enemies to lovers vibes, but because of the town council, they have to partner up in order to get things running. There's a whole pumpkin fall festival that these two work together on. It's got some good fall vibes. So it's adorable and cozy. It's a very nosy small town. If you like small town romances and you want to try a new author with a diverse cast in the book, definitely try this one out. And that is it for me for some underrated romance book recommendations. Again, I tried to find books that had less than 2,000 ratings on Goodreads, and over half of them had less than 1,000 ratings. So if you've been looking for some underrated books that aren't just the same popular books that get recommended over and over, please give these a try. I hope you find something you love. All the books that I mentioned will be linked down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.